I like that it's very comfortable driving the long distance, because sometimes you have to drive a long distance to actually get to the place where you want to go. It's just a highway. It's very comfortable. But when you are at your destination and you let down the air from the tires, the car can do so many things, and it's amazing how it can do, comfortable highway and a very serious off-road. I think that's a beautiful combination. Well, I wanted to buy some sort of four-wheel drive vehicle. I didn't have much experience with four-wheel driving when I grew up in my home country of Germany. I was very used to the other type of car like Mercedes and BMW, the fast car. But in Australia, you cannot drive so fast. So I wanted to have something that goes to the off-road. I wanted to buy a four-wheel drive for a variety of reasons, but I wasn't really picking a particular brand or model. But when I shopped around for a four-wheel drive, I saw this one for sale, and there was a special story behind that made me convinced that this would be the right car for me. So in 2020, unfortunately, my father passed away, and he was living in Germany at the time, and Henry and I, we were here in Australia. When I was a little boy, just like Henry, my father and I, we used to go camping a lot in Europe, in Germany and in Sweden. And when my father passed away, I thought it would be nice to be able to do something like that with my child. And I also thought that a four-wheel drive car would be the right choice of vehicle to do these things. When I saw this car for sale, it was actually in Melbourne, and I live in Sydney, so it's a different city. And during the COVID lockdown, it was impossible to get there. So I basically phoned the person who was sold this car and asked them about the vehicle. And they told me the story that this is a family that had 3 identical 100 series Land Cruiser cars, which they bought, and they built them all for the off-road usage to go on a big trip with the grandfather, the father and the son to drive from Melbourne to Fraser Island in Queensland. And they built 3 cars, and then COVID came and they could not do this trip. And unfortunately, the grandfather passed away, and this was his car. They didn't want to keep it that way, so that's where they want to sell it. Yeah. So in a way, this is the grandfather's car, and his grandfather, we miss him very much. Yeah. And also in Australia, when a car has not been modified, we call it grandpa spec, if you know. So it's kind of it fits together, if you know. So in a way, he is always traveling with us on these adventures. So the car had a lot of modifications done already when I bought it. I think it had basically almost everything done to it. However, none of the equipment had ever touched any dirt. That's why also I chose the license plate I hate dirt, because the car has never been dirty when I received it. It was the cleanest four-wheel drive ever. Having said that, I did modify further, just smaller things to change it just the way I like it. Because 2021 in Sydney, we had to stay at home a lot. And I spent a lot of time in the workshop to modify some more things by myself in the evenings, just to clear my mind because of all the things that went into the world. I felt it was a very healing exercise, and now I think I have almost the perfect car. It's almost nothing else that needs to be done. I think the camping experience, to start with, in Europe, it's a much denser place. There's a lot more people there, and there's not so much open land. So in Europe and in Germany, I don't know anybody who has a Land Cruiser because there's no off-road driving really available. However, in Australia, having a car like this can really make certain places accessible to you, to go to certain locations that you otherwise cannot reach. And you can reach them in comfort, and you can reach them also in a way that you can feel safe, that you're going to get there and you're also going to get home. I think the one place that this car needs to visit once in its vehicle lifetime has to be Fraser Island, because this was the original purpose for the building of the original owner. So I have not been there yet, but that's definitely on my list to do that someday together with Henry. Yeah. I think Henry and I have done many trips already in the car, and I look back at the photos that I've taken on these trips, and he's, just a small boy, and now he's growing. He's almost 8 years old, and when we started this, he was, I think, just over 4 years old, and it's already a big change for him. And I have these memories of these places that we've visited, and the long drives that we've taken, and the music we've listened to on the radio, and the games we've played, and the kind of camp stories that we've shared. I think I'm just going to keep building on that, and I hope that we can have that shared experience together, so that he can kind of draw from that when he's an adult, and maybe pass that on to his children someday. There's another detail to this actually that I forgot to mention. So Henry's mother and I, we have gone our separate ways a while ago already. So I spend a lot of time with him, just the two of us. So that's why it's kind of even pushing us closer together, because it's literally just a father and a son. There's nobody else.
Konnichiwa. I think this trip. Well, I've never really got to bring my bike to any other trip but this trip, and this trip has reminded me of Kulindili, and there's lots of places that I've went here, and it just feels really new to me.